day to you. We have Dr. Rama Subramaniam for this new episode. He is a specialist in cybersecurity, which is one of the uh, requirement in the modern world. Most of us, on a daily basis, we use cybersecurity whether we know it or whether we don't know it. Today, we will explore few of the questions that could help us be safer in the cyber and online world. Welcome, Dr. Rama Subramaniam, sir.
Thank you.
So the first question is around work from home. I think most of the organizations today are using a work from home facility, and employees are logged in from home. Of course, yes, few companies have policies and safety measures, but how safe is work from home? Because we see this continuing for into the future. How safe is this, and what precautions as an employee we can take from our end?
Atreya, that was a very good question. Lot has been written about the cyber security related matters when you work from home. Many researches have happened, white papers published discussing the subject. But what I will do today is very briefly tell you some key areas you need to look at when you work from home. All of us use internet at home, there's no doubt about it. But the difference I want you to realize is when you use internet at home for, let's take, entertainment purposes or basic connectivity to use your laptop for sending emails or checking a few websites, that's a different world altogether. But when you use the same system from home to connect to the enterprise network, you have serious issues about it. Issues are like this: the kind of precautions, the kind of settings you have got of security when you work from home need not be enterprise grade. So essentially what is happening is I have an insecure system which connects to the internet on one hand, other hand connects to the enterprise network. Therefore, your insecure system at home could become a conduit for transferring unacceptable material like malware, ransomware into enterprise network. So one simple thing that we recommend is upgrade the security settings of your systems at home. Make sure you follow as a practice enterprise grade security at home because we don't do it normally. And thirdly, be very conscious of any element that is making you suspicious that the system could be compromised. If you look at these few basic things, you're likely to be preventing, if not every, most attacks that can happen to travel through your work from home system to the enterprise network.
Sir, I bought a mobile last week. Okay? It was seamless for me. Earlier, I would have struggled with a backup and all those things, but my contacts, my photos, most of the things that I had, it was seamlessly into my new mobile, except that I have to install few apps for my day-to-day use. But with comfort come few risks. We are using cloud. It is helping us to move these data seamlessly, but we don't know what is happening in a cloud. So how safe is cloud environment from a cyber security point of view, and how can we select whether it is a safe cloud or not?
Okay, that is a very generic question. Is cloud safe? Is $1 million question. But one thing is very clear: there is nothing in the cyber world which is 100% safe or 100% unsafe. I believe the safety of an environment, like the cloud environment, is a function of multiple variables. One of them being the way you configure it. The second being what do you put there. Third being whom do you allow access. Fourth being what degree of access is permitted. So there are a number of factors that will tell you how safe the cloud is or how safe it is, how unsafe it is. But I believe, having said all this, cloud is here to stay, like every other system we had in the past. Even if I tell you, Atreya, for a moment, cloud is unsafe, I can assure you none of us will leave the cloud and come out because the economic benefits of cloud, the operational advantage of cloud far, far outweigh the possible insecurity that will come into that. But having said that, we are not dismissing cloud as an insecure medium or insecure environment. What we need to do is to follow best practices. There are quite a few organizations, for example, Cloud Security Alliance, the CSA, that have prescribed good practices, and so long as you follow those best practices, you can keep the cloud as secure as you want it to be.
Rama sir, thanks a lot for that insightful answer. Now I'm just going back a few months back. I want to narrate an incident where one of my close relative lost 50,000 through an SMS link. Okay, she was of course looking for an ATM card which has to come to her home, but on a Sunday she received an SMS. She accidentally clicked it, followed instructions. There were calls. She answered, and might be two times. After that, only she realized that she is in for a fraudulent activity. Now, most of us use mobile on a day-to-day basis. A kid, a teenager, or even a senior citizen. What precautions we can take to avoid these kind of instances in future?
This incident you mentioned, like many other unfortunate events we see here in the world today, is based on somebody exploiting the vulnerability, the weakness, the anxiety, and the rush of people. There are few principles we adopt as far as these things are concerned. The first and foremost is never ever share an OTP sent to you. If somebody calls and says an OTP has come to you, tell us the OTP, you can simply refuse and say, I will not disclose the OTP. OTP is meant to be used on the system and not to be discussed on the phone. Close to 90% of the fraudulent cases we see, for the type you just now mentioned, happens because somebody cons you in disclosing three things. Your personally identifiable information is used for KYC, your OTP, one time password, and also certain answers to security questions. I am a bit surprised, but that's understandable, that many people, despite being told repeatedly by the institution sending you the card, maybe the bank, don't share the OTP on the phone. The bank never asks for it. Having read the statement number of times, they go ahead and share the OTP. I think a lot more awareness has to be created. A lot more sensitization has to happen to tell people how the small precautions they take can make them secure on an online system.
Thank you, sir. The only challenge was the people who are going through this incidents. Not many of them listen to news or read messages sent by a bank. Okay, so I'm talking about might be senior citizens or even people who are adults. Might be they don't even go through the terms and conditions or those things which people say. As you mentioned, awareness could be a key objective. I think banks are doing. I've seen in SBI the first page of SBI has these information. Might be we don't give proper attention to these things. We just go and log in without even understanding what we are doing. Thanks a lot for that. So one more question: if this incident has happened to somebody, what is that they can do, and what is the probability they will get back the money they have lost?
All right. Uh, the theoretical answer is you'll get the money back, but the reality is something different. The first thing to do is to alert the bank that sent you the ATM card and say such an incident happened, and they will record it and give an acknowledgement. Now, banks will follow it up. They will also have their own inquiry. They'll have the forensic investigation to find out whether what you said is exactly what you said and whether it happened the way you mentioned it happened and what were the areas where they could have improved. But if it is demonstrated that the person was supposed to follow basic security precautions did not take these precautions, I think they are also liable for the damages that has happened. So it is wrong to expect the bank to compensate somebody for your not following basic security principles. It's like giving an example of a house being left open when you went on a holiday and got burgled. Of course, it's wrong to burgle a house, but then the person who left it unlocked is also part of the whole system. Then you should take it up with the bank ombudsman to the next level of appeal. And if you're convinced that the bank has been negligent in any area, the ombudsman is likely to support you. But the incident you mentioned, it's very unlikely that the bank will be able to give you back the money because they'll come back and tell you you did not follow basic security precautions.
Thanks a lot, Rama sir. One other question, when we are here is we all use mobile phones and we install apps. Okay, we have an iOS store, we have a Play Store for Android. Now, what precautions we can take? Because app is equivalent to allowing somebody into our house. Okay, it's going to be seeing, viewing many information about us. Now, how can we safeguard ourselves from apps? What are the basic things we can do?
Uh, Most apps, for that matter, all apps that you come across, will ask you a question whether you want to download it, you want to install it, you want to permit access of the app to certain information. So you should ask the question what kind of information the apps are asking access to. And if you believe that information is something you can afford to compromise, you can permit the apps to have access to it. But please also remember, we are so much used to an app today. For example, if you're using Gmail and the Gmail asks you a question, can I access your address book? Now, your answering no might not give you the facility of using all Gmail features. So, whether you like it or don't like it, you will say yes to that. So, the question is you must draw a line, a compromise between what convenience you want from the app versus what is the level of risk you're prepared to take. The more risk you take, more convenience to you. Less risk you take, less convenience to you. So, I believe it's a purely a personal decision depending on the nature of data which you store on the machine on which the app is also installed, and you may take a call on whether you want to allow it or don't allow it. But if you want to have a low risk profile or if you're a risk averse person, try not to install apps that are not absolutely essential for you to perform your work on a day to day basis.
Thanks a lot, Rama sir. So I'm hearing that innocence, ignorance, lack of knowledge cannot be an excuse. If you are using mobile or any of these digital equipments, you have a moral responsibility. Learn about it. Take precautions before you do it. Once you do it, normally you are going to be safe. Okay. So I think thanks a lot. That's a wonderful answer. Now, the last question to you. We have right from 1 year, 2 year till might be 90, 100 people using a mobile phone. What are the three golden rules you would advise us in this digital world so that we are safe and secure?
Uh, Let me give you a bit of background before I give golden rules. Many of us believe if two things had happened in the world, we'd have a cyber secure world. The two things are every user of the system follows all rules of password meticulously. Second, there is nothing called a virus. If these two had happened, I wouldn't have a job today. What does it mean to us? It means that people who use the system throw to bins basic precautions. Access privilege to most systems happen via a password, and people are very very careless about it. They're so careless they are prepared to share it across open networks. There are people who put their password on social media. There are people who, in the guise of good relationship and friendship, share it with others. So all that you should not do on password are being done today. So strong password, following all good rules of password, is the first golden rule when you want to be secure in the cyber world. Second, be wary of any malware. It could be a virus, a worm, a trojan, it could be a ransomware, whatever it is. Ensure that the malware protection on a system is current, up to date, and you go to a good malware vendor who will protect you against almost everything that comes across. Third golden rule, never ignore anything abnormal that happens on your laptop or a mobile phone. So every attack will show you some indication. Something will not be normal. Don't brush it underneath the carpet, as they say. Respond to that. Find out why has it happened. Talk to your specialist. Talk to somebody in the organization and say, I found this happening on the machine. And if nothing has gone wrong, I'm working all right. But I'm a little suspicious because something went wrong. So every attack starts with a symptom. And generally we ignore it. So don't ignore symptoms. Anything goes wrong, investigate. So if you follow these things, I think you will substantially come out of the risk involved in cyber attacks. But let me tell you one thing. We are not going to ever live in a world with 100% security. Because they put a lot of loopholes in the system, the whole gamut of what we call internet today. And you and I alone are not going to block them all. So this will reduce the propensity of your system to be taken over, attacked by a hacker or
Thanks a lot,
a
Rama sir.
malware.
It was fantastic getting your insights. These are all basic instincts, but I think I have a saying from one of my coach that we miss basic things, and that's what
Absolutely,
causes big
absolutely.
problems.
Yes,
And if we can take little bit of ownership, a little bit of knowledge and awareness, I think we can actually live in a cyber a safe world.
you can. At least to a large extent, we can.
I think even physically, we are all not safe. Accidents do happen,
Yeah,
theft do happen. But same with cybersecurity as well. There would be few incidents,
yeah,
but can we avoid, minimize, is what we are talking about.
absolutely.
Thanks a lot. I think with these tips, I think right from 2 years till might
100
be
years,
100
yeah.
years, people can take few precautions from their side
Yes.
and be more safe.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you for being here.
Wish you a happy future.
You too.
Thanks a lot.